Hey, welcome to this episode of Happy in 15. Today we are going to talk about how IT experience management drives better decision making. And I'll start with a story, Sami. So I was in this CIO event last week, and there was this person, like really motivating person, talking about the change, the culture change. What is the purpose of IT? Why it needs to be more business driven? Not it needs to be business IT, not this old-fashioned IT. And then somebody asked from the audience that, so how do you measure IT success? And he was like, well, not sure do you really need to, or maybe somebody from the audience could maybe help, or maybe a balanced scorecard, but then it depends on the metrics you put on it. Then I'm not really sure would that even work. And I had just had this cool conversation with a young CDO sitting next to me, and we were both just watching each other and say like, just make the end users happy. And it's so simple, like this is I think we just try to then make these complex tools, and we have these ideas, but then in IT we don't like how do we make it happen, how do we make it reality. And just making people happy, it can really be the North Star metric. So, and it's very simple, it aligns your whole IT team. And I remember one customer that actually had this, that happiness is the key metric for the whole IT, and they had huge results in the 12 months. You can find this in our case studies. But anything you wanna add on this? Like, why is it so difficult?
It is because if you really think about the current situation, like when you are not yet doing experience management, when you are not yet focused on that North Star metrics, you have so huge amount of metrics in IT. Then selecting there where I should be focusing on, you have too many metrics, and that makes the kind of situation currently so complicated that I kind of understand that if somebody is saying that it's this simple, it is before you have seen it, it's really hard to believe it.
True.
And that is kind of the challenge there. Yeah. But again, we talk about this in the last episode that you should be starting to do things, and then you learn, and then you start to trust it and so on. But I think it's maybe good to now go through that. What are the different kind of metrics you have been in IT before we deep dive into the experience side?
Yeah, and of course this is what many times gets talked. So we have technology, we have processes, and then we have the people. So if we start from the technology, so we know that you have all kind of technology KPIs, and really the decisions that you are making there daily, they are important. But what you do with them daily is to kind of fix individual problems in the tech stack. Yep. So you might see that there's a Wi-Fi not working here, so okay, let's fix that. And it's important to make sure that everything is running fine, but that is also the level that it stays.
Yeah, with those kind of tools, which again are important, you understand those technology point of views and pain points, and if network is down, you get maybe know that.
Yeah.
But for sure you know that is a problem for the experience.
Yeah.
But you cannot recognize overall importance of certain things when it comes to your own global employees, that where to start, really hard to do with that kind of technology. You need that to find root causes, you need that to help individuals to fix issues they have with their laptop. Really important when it comes to kind of serving individuals or serving certain locations.
Yeah. Then I think pretty much the same thing with the process part. So you have ITIL and you have all process optimization best practices, and you can measure the processes, but the processes are not, everything that the end user does or the people do. It's just part of their work, and it's a small part here and a small part there. And I remember talking with one big bank that we have hundreds of business processes. How we're ever gonna measure all of them? So you can't measure all of them. But then maybe it brings us to the people metric, and you and me both, and I think that's really the core of Happy Signals, is that experiences only come from people. Yeah. Processes cannot experience things. Technology doesn't experience things. Only people do. And I think this is the point where you need to start. If you really talk about experiences, you want to go into experience management, you need to focus on the people box.
Understanding people and how they feel about the services, what is annoying, what is maybe making them extra happy in some cases, and so on.
Yeah.
So it's when talking about that people and getting their feedback, one thing that is very important here is that you can trust it.
True.
Because they have no reason to give you wrong feedback, and you don't have to configure them. They will always, in changing situation, tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Yes, they will become more and more demanding during time,
Yeah.
but that is just how we as human beings are working, and how we are getting more happy with the basics, then you need more. But we have been selecting IT and working into IT, and so we know that the kind of expectation level is going up all the time.
Yeah, but the cool thing is that, you know, if you make a tweak in a tech and suddenly it works better, you know, does it really give you any pleasure or purpose? If you optimize the process and now it takes 30 seconds less for that process to run, well, wow. What if a real person says that, amazing, it's easier to do my work and I'm more productive and now I'm happier? That's really meaningful.
As a human being, that feels better to get that feedback than technology feedback.
All right, but hey, let's move forward, because we can talk about the people box for 10 episodes if we want. But if we now say that, okay, experience data is that, then how is it really used in the different levels of IT organizations? And if we now take the traditional, you know, you have at the bottom you have the operational, then you have the tactical layer, and then you have the strategic layer. So what if we start from the operational? How do you really use experience data on that level?
So now we are talking about, for example, people working in the service desk area, or people working to take care of the networks and so on. So in that area, when you start to really understand and gather the feedback, I think in this area it's mostly about people really getting that motivation to their work. Because now when they start to understand, as a service desk agent, for example, they start to understand how they are helping people. That is the big benefit in this area. When it comes to decision making, when people start to get that feedback, that how did I help people? Was I talking too technically, or was I talking untechnically, which is even more common feedback than the too technically? Then you start to kind of adjust your own way of working. You maybe learn that, okay, I don't know enough about that and that technology, so I learn something from your colleagues, or you learn that from YouTube, whoever. But then you are better in serving people in that area as well. Yeah. So giving people kind of the understanding will create their own willingness to be developing their own skills and attitude as well when it comes to experience.
And I think it also brings this purpose worker aspect to it. You have a bigger purpose working in the service desk, working on fixing the IT devices, the frameworks, whatever is there. And I guess one of the key takeaways is that it really, you know, when you empower everybody at the operational level to see the unfiltered feedback, then it really allows them to make decisions by themselves every day. If you try to protect them, you know, the end users, anyway they complain and they say bad things, you're also at the same time limiting of how they understand the end users' needs. It's for us, for example, as a software company, we really need to understand very unfilteredly what our users need with the product so that we can make it better. Otherwise, we would just be building it for ourselves. And it's kind of comes the same thing with IT, that at the operational level, if you don't get this unfiltered view of end users, then what are you really doing there daily? But then maybe moving to the tactical level, so one level up. And
so now we are talking about like project level and that kind of stuff that
and
you
team level and so on.
So I think in this area it starts to be about the kind of having common target with the whole team. A project, you're developing an application, really understanding what are the needed features, what are the lacking features when it comes to the experience of end users. You use our company as an example. Of course, this is very, very key what we do. Kind of we are doing one huge project all the time. That is all what we are doing and helping enterprises to use that. But the thing is that you really get that understanding the team, that it's not enough that we implement something in certain timetable and with certain budget. It has to create value for the end users. And that really, again, changes how this team feels about what is their purpose. It's not timetable and budget. It is to create efficiency to business and make those people happy. And that will influence how they are doing decision in the project, or it should be doing that. One thing what we both used to do 10 years ago, we were doing projects for big enterprises in developing different software. Too often, I have to admit now, the decisions when we realized that now we have a challenge with the cost, we remove things that would have been valuable, but were just not something that we could implement in that time period.
True.
So the main driver of decision making there was not the created value, it was money saved but saved from that project, ending up that the process was not valuable and not saving money when it was implemented.
Yeah.
So it's a tool for decision making, right kind of decision making in projects and their, let's say, their leadership teams and so on.
Yeah, and I think it's not only like kind of it might feel negative that we only do that, but it's also it can drive your passions in your team. Let's say that you want to develop some automation, bring in some AI capabilities. If you can find a process, a place that the real end users, the thousands of employees of your company are struggling with, and you apply your passion and skills on that area and make a huge impact, that's a big thing, and that really gives the purpose to the team and really gives, again, more belief to the whole team. So I guess as a key takeaway on tactical level, I would say that use experience data to prioritize what should be done next, but also to celebrate the success.
And that exactly is in that tactical level or the project level, when first projects start to do that, and then they start to do announcement that this is what happened like 3 months after, this is now about how much happier our end users are, then others start to really do the same, and then it starts to be even a strategical thing when everybody start to do that. But
well, hey, let's move to the last so the strategic level.
Yeah.
So I think this is probably something that most IT departments employees never kind of see even or hear. But what are we talking about strategic? If we start that it's really about long-term action planning. And I think a good example from one customer was it's really budget decisions. Yeah. So going from IT as a cost pool to actually something that we are investing in IT to create business value and create business capabilities. And I remember having the interview with Campari Group CIO Chris, saying that he said that ultimate goal is to have a meeting with the CFO saying that, hey, Mr. CFO, how much money do you want me to spend to create these capabilities, to create these experiences?
Yeah, I think you are just correct there, because it's all about doing budget decisions based on experience data when you really start to be on that strategic level. So we have that maturity pyramid with share, identify, set KPIs, and then culture. And for me, that culture means that you really are going to having those discussions with business, CFO or directly with the business that, hey, we have recognized these are the areas that we need to improve. Let's invest to those together. Then you're not asking for money. Yeah. And you're not asking that I want to now replace this technology with this one, which is for business like why. Yeah. But you're now talking about that experience of their end users, making them more efficient and so on. It just makes much more sense to be doing that budget discussions together. Yeah. Also, when we talk about strategy level, it's about selecting partners and maybe changing partners who are not able to deliver enough value for you in experience area and so on. So quite big decisions we have seen been done based on experience already.
Yeah, I think it's all this vendor management, moving stuff to the cloud, digital transformation. You have a huge ERP migrations. Everything about that, the decisions should be made on, what impact does it really have? Yeah. And then you kind of need some kind of main business metrics. What is the value of IT that you can actually use with the business stakeholders, like you said, with partners and vendors as well. Yeah. All right, but that probably sums up the decision-making thing. I think, again, if people have any questions, some thoughts about it, we are happy to engage in LinkedIn or other social media. Or if some IT leader thinks that not quite sure, maybe just call you.
Call me or send me first LinkedIn message so that I know to answer your phone call. But
yes, cool. All right, but hey, that ends up this episode. So thanks for joining again. Stay safe and stay happy.